Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today we're looking at something that might not seem all that thrilling at first glance.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about code.
Okay.
But, this code is more than meets the eye.
Interesting.
It's a function within a really powerful platform called Power Query. Power Query, for those who don't know, is kind of like having this super smart assistant for your data. It helps you clean it, shape it, get it ready to analyze. Like, imagine taking this huge, messy spreadsheet and turning it into a beautiful, organized report. That's Power Query.
Oh, wow. I see.
And today, we're going to focus on a specific function within Power Query called Duration.Days. Now, at first glance, it might seem a little basic, just counting days.
Right.
But as we'll see, it can unlock some pretty amazing insights, especially when we start to think about the time dimension of our data. So to help us unpack all of this, we have an expert on all things data analysis.
Hi. Welcome. Thanks for having me.
So maybe you can start us off. Can you break down this duration.days function? What exactly does it do?
Sure, yeah. Duration.Days is basically, it's a function that takes a duration value. This value represents a length of time. So it could be, hours, minutes, seconds. But duration.days specifically extracts the number of days from that duration. So it kind of like zeroes in on just the day component of that time period.
Got it. So it's like if I had a project that took, say, a month and a half to complete, this function could tell me exactly how many days that is.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's say your project started on, January 1st and ended on February 15th. Duration.days would calculate that as 46 days.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, beyond just calculating the length of time, how does this function actually help us make sense of data in a practical way?
Yeah.
Why should we care about isolating the number of days?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a good way to think about it is like this. Let's say you're an e-commerce business and you're trying to, improve your online store. You might have data on how long it takes customers to complete a purchase, from the moment they add an item to their cart to the time they actually check out.
Right.
Now, by using duration.days to analyze that time period, you might discover that, customers who take more than, say, 3 days to complete their purchase are much more likely to abandon their cart.
Really?
Yeah. And that could point to a problem in your checkout process. Maybe it's too complicated or maybe the shipping options aren't clear. So by understanding those time-based patterns, you can start to identify and fix those bottlenecks.
That's a really interesting example, and it kind of highlights this idea that understanding when something happens, the time element, can be just as important as knowing what happened. Would you say that's a core part of this concept of time-based data analysis?
Absolutely. I mean, time-based data analysis is all about looking at how things change over time. Identifying trends, patterns. And it can be applied to so many different fields. We talked about e-commerce, but you can use it in finance, healthcare, scientific research, really anywhere where you have data that's collected over a period of time.
So, I'm thinking about like financial forecasting, for example, trying to predict future stock prices or market movements. Would time-based analysis come into play there?
Yeah, definitely. Historical data can be incredibly valuable in finance by looking at how stock prices have fluctuated over time, identifying seasonal trends or long-term cycles.
Right.
You can start to make predictions about future performance. Of course, it's not a perfect science. There are always external factors that can influence the market. But time-based analysis can definitely give you a starting point.
So it's kind of like it's like connecting the dots, right? Like you see all these individual data points over time, and by analyzing them together, you can start to see the bigger picture, maybe even anticipate what's coming next.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. It's about finding the story in the data.
The story in the data. I like that. But, we've talked a lot about the benefits of this kind of analysis, but are there any potential pitfalls or limitations that we should be aware of?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things to keep in mind is that time-based analysis isn't always a standalone solution. It's most powerful when you combine it with other types of analysis.
Oh, okay.
For example, if you're looking at website traffic data, it's important to consider things like marketing campaigns, seasonal trends, even major news events that might be impacting your numbers.
Right.
So yeah, you have to look at the whole picture, not just the time element in isolation.
So context is everything. It's not just about the numbers themselves. It's about understanding the story behind those numbers, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's about asking the right questions. Why are we seeing these patterns? What other factors might be at play?
So it sounds like time-based data analysis is really about, it's more than just crunching numbers. It's about using those numbers to tell a story, to understand the world around us a little bit better.
I think that's a great way to sum it up.
Awesome. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. But before we go, I just want to leave you with one final thought.
Oh.
We've talked about a lot of broad applications for time-based analysis, but I bet there are countless ways to apply these concepts to your own work, your own interests.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I challenge you to think about your own field, your own hobbies, even your daily routines. What time-based questions could you ask? What insights might you uncover? I think you might be surprised by what you find. Keep exploring, and until next time, happy analyzing.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.